Okay, our objective for today is I can understand the Pythagorean Theorem and find the missing side of a right triangle. Yesterday we found we learned about the Pythagorean Theorem and found the missing or the length of the hypotenuse, which is the longest side. Your sub-objective is to memorize the formula of the Pythagorean Theorem, and we should all know that the formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And remember to always keep the a, b, and c lowercase. Okay, so then the next sub-objective is to identify the right triangle and its sides, and then correctly set up and solve a problem using the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so we're going to do 3 problems here. Number 1, we have a triangle, and if you look down at your guiding questions, it says first to identify the right triangle. So I have to find my right angle. So I'm finding my right angle. It is right here. And then I'm going to point to and label my hypotenuse. So I'm basically going to draw an arrow directly across to find my hypotenuse. This is my hypotenuse. And now I'm going to identify and label my legs. So this is going to be A, B, and we have C here. Okay, so now I'm going to put the values into the formula. And I'm going to write the formula over here first so we can just see it. It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so I'm going to put the values into the formula. So we do not know what a is, so we're just going to simply write a squared plus, we know that b is 5 inches, so we're going to say 5 squared equals c, which is 13 square. So now I have to square what I know. So I'm going to bring down the a squared, and I'm going to say 5 times 5, and that gives me 25, equals 13 squared, and 13 times 13 is 169. So now I need to solve for a, or a squared, so I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. And I'm going to have a squared equals 169 minus 125, and that gives me 144. And I'm going to put that in the square root symbol, which is a radical. And I know that I need to find the square root of 144 because I went ahead and squared my b and my c. So I need to unsquare it basically. So I need to do the inverse. So the square root of 144 is 12. And to do that, you would just do second and the x squared button on your calculator, and it would square the 144 for you. Okay, so number 2, we have a right triangle. We need to find the missing leg, and so before we do that, we have to identify the right angle. So I'm going to identify the right angle, and I'm going to point and label my hypotenuse. So I'm going to draw an arrow across to find my hypotenuse. I'm going to go ahead and label it as C, and I know that this is going to be A and this is going to be B. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the values into the formula, and I'm going to say 6 squared plus b squared equals 10 squared. So 6 squared is going to be 36. 6 times 6 is 36. Plus b squared, I don't know what b is, so I'm just going to leave it as b squared, equals 10 squared, which is 10 times 10, which is 100. So I need to solve for b, so I need to remove the 36 and move it over here to this side. And I'm left with b squared equals 100 minus 36, which gives me 64. And I need to find the square root of 64, so I'm going to go ahead and put the square root symbol over top of it. And I'm going to enter it into my calculator and say second x squared, and that's going to give me b equals 8, because we know that 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, so let's look at number 3. Number 3. So the first thing that we need to do is identify the right angle. So go ahead and take a second and identify the right angle. Okay, 2. Point 2 and label the hypotenuse. So go ahead and take a second and label point 2 and label the hypotenuse. Now identify and label the legs. So we're going to identify this is leg A and this is leg B. Now we're going to put the values into the formula. So go ahead and take a second and do that on your own. Okay, so we're going to have 16 squared, because that's A, plus, I don't know what B is, which is B squared, equals C squared, which is 24 squared. So I'm going to square 16. 16 times 16 gives me 256, plus B squared, I don't know what B is, and 24 squared gives me 576. So I need to solve for B, and I'm going to subtract 256 from itself, and bring it over here. I get B squared equals 320. I want to take the square root of 320 and get B equals 17. And on your calculator, you're going to get 17.88 and some numbers. So I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth and get 17.9. Okay, go ahead and go through the 6-question quiz at the end of this and see how you do.